Welcome back to the channel. It is Halo Week. 7 days from now, we will all be playing Halo Infinite in Game Pass or purchasing it and playing it. I can't wait. And I thought I'd look back on the game that I feel demonstrated what Xbox was all about. And yes, I know what you're saying. Why not Halo Combat Evolved? But I don't think that's the game that actually delivered on what Xbox was promising and what they were pushing. It was power. Nothing touched the original Xbox, the PlayStation 2, the GameCube. It was the most powerful system that you can buy. And when a little game called Splinter Cell came out, you saw what that was all about. Real-time shadows, real-time reflections. Every object cast a shadow, and it was the interplay of light and shadow in this game that made it stand out above all the others. Take a look at this level here. Look at the shadowing. Look at Sam and his animation. That was something that was absolutely incredible. And the fact that every object, again, casts a shadow, and the objects within those shadows picked up on that reflection was something that you just couldn't see on any other system but the Xbox. Ubisoft really pushed the system early on in terms of that style of gameplay and animations. This was just a fantastic game, and everybody was up in arms about Metal Gear Solid, and how in the world would Ubisoft even dare to make a stealth game to rival Metal Gear Solid. Now, Metal Gear Solid is a great game. Solid Snake, a great character, and in many ways there are other graphical techniques used in that PlayStation 2 game, Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Liberty, that help that game look really good on the PlayStation 2. But if you really break it down into things like animation, into things like lighting, shadow, and just actual gameplay. Now, you're not, finding a cardboard box out of thin air and hiding in it. This is realistic styled gameplay in terms of stealth, cat and mouse. And that's what Splinter Cell used to differentiate itself between Metal Gear. There weren't these huge, crazy characters named Revolver Ocelot. It was just Sam Fisher, a lone operative, going into a location and using a really cool, realistic tool set to get from point A to point B. And again, every level was based on something that you would expect to use if you were one of these operatives. Light and shadow, stealth. It was just a fantastic game, and it really demonstrated what Xbox could do. I remember being a really big fan, and I still am, of Metal Gear, and when this game was announced, I was watching it, I was waiting, I was following all the information I possibly could. Now, back then, you had to buy magazines to get information, but when the game released, I remember that one moment where you're going down that hallway and you can see the reflection of butterflies on the wall because there's this big spinning fan, and behind it the light from outside is coming through. And that was something that stuck with me. That one moment, I remember thinking, this is something that I have not seen before. This is a graphical technique. This is the reason that the Xbox exists. And what's really interesting when you think about it is, early on, third parties were the reason. Third parties pushed these systems beyond what you thought was possible. It wasn't first party. When you think about PlayStation 2, Metal Gear Solid 2, probably one of the best looking games on that system, was Konami. That was a third party, and Ubisoft steps in for Xbox and creates the Splinter Cell series. Now, Splinter Cell became a third party, which I feel is a shame because it was the identity of the Xbox. It was Halo, and it was Splinter Cell. This first game was fantastic. Take a look at that cloth physics there. That was something else that you didn't see in any game before. Sam moving through these soft objects and them reacting to him. Again, another graphical technique that just couldn't be done on any other system. This game highlighted all of the strengths of the Xbox, and when you get into this gameplay, this realistic style stealth, I absolutely loved it. Now, it was much more difficult because you had to hide these bodies. I remember taking people out, leaving them, getting to the end of the level, all of a sudden an alarm goes off. I have no idea why I cannot progress, and it's because someone found the body that I had left earlier on in the level. And it's that kind of realism that you didn't see in stealth titles, and Ubisoft really pushed that when it came to Splinter Cell. Now, this game originally was on the Xbox. It came to the PlayStation 2, and I think that comparison is a great way to show just how big of a difference there was between the Xbox and everything else. It's almost a completely different game on the PlayStation 2. If you watch those games, there's videos out there of Xbox version of Splinter Cell and PlayStation version of Splinter Cell. They're almost different ways through the level because the PlayStation just couldn't render all of this wide open space. They had to make a lot of shortcuts. They had to tone down a lot of graphical techniques that were used in the game. It was just not the same game, and it completely showed how much different the Xbox was to the PlayStation. And when you get to Splinter Cell Chaos Theory and compare that on the Xbox to the PlayStation 2, do me a favor, when you're done watching this video, search for that video, Chaos Theory OG Xbox versus PS2. It is almost embarrassing how much different that game is on the PlayStation 2 to the Xbox. And that's what this video, that's what this series was all about, highlighting the strengths of that original Xbox and showing the difference, showing what could be done, showing where games were going to go in the future and where they were right now if you had that OG Xbox. Some fun facts: the first game that we're looking at here in the series modified the Unreal Engine to allow light and dark based gameplay styles. The other games continue this using updated versions of the engine. By the release of the latest game, Blacklist, the engine had been upgraded to the LED engine, a heavily modified version of Unreal Engine 2.5. The game had active shadows on all consoles, not simply as a graphical function as in most games, but as a gameplay enhancer for the sake of the game's stealth features. And that's the big takeaway when it comes to this series. So although the game was on other platforms, it really shined on the original Xbox, and it gave you a reason. It gave you that hook. This is why the Xbox exists. This is what could be done on this platform that can't be done on any others. And yes, Halo really brought everybody into Xbox. It's the reason why Xbox still exists today. It's the reason why Xbox got out of that generation, the PS2 generation, and is still around. But I think when you think Xbox and you think power and you think about things that could be done on that platform that couldn't be done on any other, and you wanted really clear examples of that, Splinter Cell was the game. Let me know what you think in the comment section below about Splinter Cell. 7 days to Halo Infinite. I'm excited. I can't wait. Go back and play these games. They're all backwards compatible. Splinter Cell Pandora tomorrow. And again, Chaos Theory is the pinnacle of this series in terms of graphics on a console. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.